When I click start, the first 5 DPPs is for free. That gives an opportunity to everybody in the world to go and test it. And if this is working for you, if you cannot deliver the data incomplete, get in touch with us, please. We are here to help. We are logging into the dashboard. This dashboard is first showing the API connections or the FTP locations or the intake logic that you and I agreed with each other is visualized over here. That always shows that 1 year later, if you log in, to check your CO2 because the inspector is coming, that if you had successful or unsuccessful failures in your data set. So we know that the data is not behind, in control. Verification status. Well, this is one product and 3 DPPs where one is active. It's a verified one, but it shows your verification status. The CO2 is beautifully shown. It actually shows that the system is working. So the products, you are not touching it because it shows the data that you have in your own system here. It's just a proof that your central truth will stay the truth. Then it's how many products you created, total CO2 across those DPPs. We want to make things actionable. You will have different roles in your supply chain. People who are sourcing, people who are working on the production, people who are working in warehouses. And if your ambition is to bring CO2 down, you want to know where the CO2 is coming from. In this case, for example, we see manufacturing or sales, right? So you can start filtering, you can start exporting from which production locations this is coming from which production activities it's coming from. You can filter per country because we are running through particular countries this product. So maybe in Italy, they are producing more CO2 than in France. But what we can do is that your country manager or your brand ambassador from France is making decisions about locations that are triggering this. So you can do something about it. This will allow you to start checking sales points. This will allow you to look per channel where the CO2 is coming from, allowing you to go and sit with these people because this is not owned CO2, it's a partner CO2 that is created, but you made the decision to work with them. Categories. In this case, it's only skincare, but I can imagine that you want to check between footwear and textile, or you want to check between whatsoever. So these filters we can go very much further. Don't worry about it. You will check it per period. We do a lot of customization. You can look for DPPs over here. That will allow you which DPP is creating more CO2 than the other one. So this is an automatic populated data page. We read in your ERP or your Shopify or wherever you put your product data, we read this in and we are not changing the truth. This is your truth. It's been created. It has a status. It's archived or it's on the market. It has a UP. A UP is going to be the new barcode IDs, European Union, universal product IDs. Keep this in mind. So we already anticipated on the future, but you can also add your GTIN or whatever code you are using as a recognition. Some companies also want to see SKUs because one they use it as an internal identification and the other one as a global identification that they use with suppliers. Product name, category, this is just showing it. This is showing it on the total of the batches. It can also see it on batch level. A batch is identified as if we have one SKU, I produce 12 times. That means that you need 12 DPPs because you're producing it with all different life cycles. Batches, materials, these are all the materials. So actually you start seeing the carbon that is created, suppliers, the product is the material actually connected to product or the packaging because that will help with pre or post consumer topics. You need to keep in mind that your end of life actually makes money and today we are destroying a lot of things. If you can pile up a lot of materials, you can sell it to other companies too. Yeah, it's an important factor to know. That's where the supply chain starts. Our developer had this as a little innovation. He wanted to add images across the products. I think it makes sense for operational reasons that you know about which product quickly we are talking about. So you can add images with the products. This is your DPP page. It kind of like shows the life cycle when the product is going to die based upon the expiration date in this case with components. And are you in construction, expiration date becomes a replacement date. Yeah, this is very important for the quality of the maintenance of buildings or cars. So it will be the same logic, but then we will call it replacements. You want to see the DPP at the moment now. This is a standard design, but we customize it for our brand. Some also want to have it white labeled. We are very proud about, of course, about the life cycle assessment that is automated. When you look at this, this is a life cycle of this product. Now we see that we are sourcing water in the Netherlands. What is happening is each icon is connected to a dot. You can see it. And all the warehouses and the sales points are within the locations, as you can see it, sales points. And we are distributing it from one place to another. And in these places between the locations, there's of course transport and CO2. So the map is giving you a quick glance about this. And if you think, oh, this is not right, why is this happening? And you're a supply chain manager, this will give you a quick overview about it. We call this gray market detection. Imagine you have products and you're distributing them to the Netherlands in this batch number 1, 2, 3. And the sales points are Douglas, Sephora. Those locations have an address that we collect during the data intake. So what does that mean? That the moment when the QR codes start being scanned because the products are in the stores or sold online, we start having addresses coming from that location. Is this not in the address list that we think? We know that this is slowly gray markets. For example, in this case, Paris, it's tagged from this QR code, but we were only selling at that moment in the Netherlands. So this was strange that this was started being tagged there. That means that somebody could not sell it in the Netherlands. It went via the trader to Paris, and in Paris they started selling it in outlet logic. So how does that then exactly work? This is a summary of a life cycle. You need to see it as a human, right? When I go from the Netherlands to Turkey, in my passport, I get the stamp that I'm at that moment over there. In this case, it's sometimes a little bit more complicated because sourcing is one or many, production is one or many. Imagine I do everything in one material. I just need one material to create something, let's say steel. I'm sourcing the irons from Australia in a mine, then I'm getting that. I'm producing it in one factory. I'm just making it ready for my customers. Then I'm bringing it to the warehouse where I pile this up, one warehouse. But the reality is always different, right? This is existing of 38 ingredients of 38 materials before I can make that end product. Then I'm producing on multiple levels. I am buying glycerine and a few other ingredients from a particular location, but maybe they are buying it from somebody else again. This is called tiers, for example. It can also be that I'm producing multiple things at the same time. For example, in beauty and food, you have in between ingredients, right? I make three ingredients. I made that gelatin, and from this gelatin, I make it on top of the pie. In electronics, we make, for example, in between components like a accu or a whatsoever before we make the car eventually or the end product. How do we make more money sustainably? If we track a product from the sourcing level to the end of life management, and we are trying to plan the next year, the products, for example, every year we also are hoping that we're forecasting right. So the whole DPP system is helping you with traceability so you can do a better forecasting and a better management of your inventory, for example, and also to keep the revenue within the supply chain. Here, what I went maybe too much into details about gray market, this is a huge problem, not only in food, not only in cars, but things get excited when they are bestsellers. So suddenly they pop up on different places. But if they pop up on different places and I never know if something is sold or not, one, I'm losing revenue. Two, I cannot forecast. So this is very important to improve your business, Jessica, and your EBITDA at the moment, and why you should measure this. And this QR code is actually helping you more with somebody is scanning your product. Today, they heard some negative stories in the news about that the favorite brands were doing bad actions. The DPP is proving the against if you communicate it properly because it shows the CO2, you are being fair to them, you are validating all the statements. So that news, it's not the truth suddenly anymore. This is going to be their truth. So that is going to help you with customer trust and transparency around that environment. You definitely want to be audit ready, super important. So when the moment is coming and you know your compliancy statuses on DPP level, this one is great, done the job super great. We also made it a little bit, of course, like that, is that you need to start inviting people. We talked about European distributors. Make them your colleagues or your administrators so they can be part of that supply chain. The administrator can connect it both to the same API. So this is only for your legit partners. Your colleague could be a designer. The inspector is to be always audit ready. So you give them access and they are going to check all those compliancy rules that are implemented. And they can leave notes. So when they come back the next year, they're going to say, hey, brand that you fixed it, and then you can say I already fixed it, and that will help you to not be fined. Sorry, I got a little bit passionate about LCA, but
Yeah.
that's it.